Welcome to the Day After Show. I'm Danielle Staub, and I'm here with Yvette.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to our first live taping of the Day After Show. Thank you for joining us.
That's right. So we're here. We're doing something a little different, so we can just throw this up on YouTube and leave it to the gods or goddesses. I think that it's pretty interesting how this is taking on a whole life of its own, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, when this season is so boring, it's not.
I think I'm the reason the season's even being watched a little bit. There's a lot of my fans are watching just because I'm watching. So you're welcome again, bravo.
Yeah, you're one of the most controversial castmates of this season without even being on the show.
But I wasn't on the show for years before I came back, and that's all they spoke about, because if they're not speaking about me, they're tearing at each other. And
right.
So what's interesting about that? People are used to me being torn at, so much so that when I'm missing, they realize, like Jackie's starting to realize, oh my God, this is what Danielle's gone through. I think that's what went on when Jackie asked Margaret, have you forgiven Danielle? Jackie, thank you, but I didn't ask for forgiveness for something that I didn't do that was wrong. She needs to ask me for forgiveness for still coming after me and taking my furniture, making Dolores tell a lie. I mean, Dolores is a big girl. Shame on you, Dolores. I'm really disgusted with Dolores at this point. Yeah. Anybody's game. Nobody's safe with me anymore. Dolores was safe a little bit.
Of this, you mentioned how, like, if you were ever to be friends with one of them again, it was Dolores.
Oh, hell no.
Like, see how
I would never want anything to do with her again. I think that it's so despicable how this show has just turned her into an entitled bitch. She thinks that she's really all that she can tell a lie like that, and I'm just going to go graciously away. Guess what, Dolores? Welcome back, scumbag. Now you're on my shit list.
I'm dead.
You gotta lie about me. You gotta tell lies. I just can't stand it anymore. I really can't.
Yeah. I mean, the whole episode started with how David and Dolores are not in a good place. So
no shit. I mean, you got your ex-husband living with you. You're always with him. I mean, David doesn't want to be on the show. He really doesn't.
Like. He just doesn't want to be part of this lifestyle, it kind of seems.
No,
right?
He's not one of them jackasses that's going to give in just to have a camera on himself. He's really not. He's actually really gifted at what he does. I mean, I know people that are way up there, and they've gone to him for, even during COVID, during quarantine, my next door neighbor delivered her baby. He didn't even know, like, I was there by proxy just because she was on the phone with me. But in all honesty, I think that there's something to be said for the ones that are wise enough to try to steer clear of it, but yet he's been supportive of her. He's just not going to step into this wholeheartedly because he's made a big investment. B, I believe he does truly love Dolores, but they've been together for what, 4 or 5 years now? Honey, there ain't no ring on your finger. And I'm sorry, there's something to be said for that. Like, is she the most unengageable person just because she's got men falling all over themselves to do stuff for her? My God, I guess I should have 25 plastic surgeries. That's what it takes.
I'm dead. Well, I mean, I'm sure for their relationship to work out, it's probably much healthier when the show is not being filmed. But I mean, it's
no doubt
always a problem when the cameras are around. I mean, he barely likes to show up for her, but she doesn't seem to have a problem with it. Do you have any predictions?
No, because she chooses her career. She chooses to have a camera in her face so she can play, like, everyone's going to believe everything Dolores says, apparently. So Dolores is now on this high that she thinks that she's untouchable. Here's what I'm going to do to bring that down to earth a little bit. She became successful on the show because she had a storyline where she bought gyms and she was, running a business and she was an entrepreneur. The way she got the gyms is the story that hasn't been told. We all heard the story about Frank Catania being disbarred. But do we know what he spent the money on that got him disbarred? In other words, a client gave him, I think it was $180,000 or $190,000 to put into escrow. It's supposed to be safe with your attorney, no? One would think. But not with Frank Catania.
Oh
because
no.
Dolores has all these needs. She's admitted on the show a number of times, on and off the show, that she doesn't pay for anything. And, you know, Frank pays for everything, even a parking ticket. Frank pays for this, Frank pays for that. Now she's got David paying for the rest. The only thing I haven't figured out yet is how to get men to pay for shit without being scumfucks to me. But we'll get back to that another
Speaking
time.
of that, I'm actually kind of glad that this is our first live taping. I noticed that a lot of the hate that you get and a lot of the negative comments and people that are trying to trigger you are men. So this is my message to the men.
Are they really men if they're trying to
A
come
lot
after
of
a
them.
woman? I mean,
No.
take it for example, that stupid guy in the parking lot at a doctor's office parking so
no.
close to my car that I
That's
couldn't even
hilarious.
get into it.
Yeah, if you
And
guys
then-
haven't seen that, make sure, I'm sure it'll go viral at some point, but some guy locked Danielle in her parking spot just because of misogyny, I'm sure. But
Yes,
I
and
mean,
coming out
this
to
is
me
my
telling me
message
I'm
for
just
men.
a
You guys
spoiled
gotta
rich
do
girl
better.
Democrat. Whatever the reason is, he pre-calculated all those open spots and he couldn't park anywhere but next to me where I couldn't get in. And the only reason I parked on the line a little bit, and I have a video, is because the car next to me had parked into my spot just a little bit. I don't have a problem with that. I didn't park next to the guy so he couldn't get into his car. I could have done the same thing, but I'm not a dick. And
Men.
I also know for a fact that when he came out those doors and he saw it was me, he was so freaking happy.
Of
It's a
course.
white Mercedes with white interior. Of course, it's a woman driving the car. So he then puts it up on social media saying, I taught her a lesson. Apparently she's Danielle Stahl with the Real Housewives of New Jersey. What lesson did you teach me? That if my little daughter had been parking her car and not parked within the lines, that you would have come out and attacked her? Scumbag, I'll fucking take you down. You are a
Don't treat women
misogynist
how you
pig.
wouldn't want your mother, your sister, your wife be treated.
He wouldn't care.
He didn't
You know
be
what?
treated women
He's
like that.
all about being a dick. And you know what? There's people like that we could do without in this world. Somebody that parks a woman in, so I can't, in a doctor's office. I'm disabled and I don't even use my handicap plates. I don't. Why? Why? Because a scumbag like that is going to go ahead and hit my car. Meanwhile, he pulls away in a van that was beaten up probably 14, 15 years ago beyond recognition. So he doesn't care. If he had a nice car, he wouldn't have done that because he wouldn't have cared.
I'm done.
You know? Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, you're
I'm
fine.
back. I always get these interruptions. Sorry, guys.
So back to the episode. It's funny because then the next thing we find out is Margaret is calling Joe and filling him in on the drama between Melissa and Jackie. Melissa and Jackie, was it? Yeah, because of the whole thing with the money. So it seems like no drama can come about without Margaret telling her husband, which makes sense. You know, couples talk and they do their things. I just don't know why Joe would
They're
care.
all couples. Why are they all not doing that then? This is just Margaret's, this is her claim to fame. Destroy, search and destroy. She had no problem getting in there and talking about my marriage, talking about my relationship when she had just met the man that, I mean, he's a scumbag, let's face it. Marty Caffrey is beyond a scumbag for what he's done to me and my daughters. And the things that I will never talk about are the worst of it all. But if you can only imagine a man doing that to me, getting me out of my home while I'd had a nervous breakdown and then having a castmate, let's just call it this. I work at a bank and I introduce this man that I'm dating and then I get married to him. And then my coworkers at the bank decide, one of them, Margaret Josephs, who works as a teller as well, decides she's going to befriend this guy in order to make me look bad at work, in my place of work.
Yeah,
a place that she just got to, the place that she didn't fit into, the workplace that nobody liked her unless I was there defending her. Now, let's turn this into what would happen if that were the situation. It was at a bank instead of national television where it's aired all over the place. Would it be so funny then? Would people be thinking, oh, well, this is normal behavior. I think it's funny. It's not fucking funny. And it's not nice. And it's not normal behavior for a 50-plus-year-old woman to be doing this. She's already destroyed 2 marriages before she even hit the ground running. She's getting everything she wants, and I don't understand who her witch doctor is, but good job, because I don't understand how anyone could be a fan of that. I can't even call her a human being. I can't. She's not human. For the things that she's done to my family and for me, for bringing her in and making her feel comfortable in this franchise. And that's the thanks I get. You ruin everything in my path, everything that I'm trying to rebuild.
You've seen the clip between her and Dolores, right? Talking about admitting to buying the couch and how bad she wanted the couch and how she just had to have it. And then she had Dolores come over and buy your couch. Did you happen to see that clip yet?
Not really. I mean, I saw a piece of it, and then I just stopped watching it because Dolores's lies are really starting to bother me. Why she's covering up for this girl, I have no idea. But Dolores knows Marty's girlfriend. Marty's girlfriend called Dolores to say, hey, Marty's got an idea, because Marty can't stand the fact that he's not famous. He wasn't successful in his business, and he wasn't a successful husband. And he wasn't successful at anything in his life until I came along and made him a person of interest. He was nobody. Nobody knew his name. Are you all forgetting that? Does everybody forget? I mean, how you get it is how you lose it. So Dolores gets a call from Marty's girlfriend.
He has a girlfriend.
Who stole my love art, who stole other pieces, because Marty just thinks this is a big fucking game.
Oh my
gosh.
Game
is not over. So when that happens, then Dolores says, okay, well, I'll just say that I went and got it for you. Meanwhile, here's the truth. Margaret went to school with the real estate brokers from Sotheby's that Marty hired because Margaret said, use them. Now, they let Margaret in and let her pick whatever she wants of my belongings. Illegal? Yes. Will they get caught? Maybe, because I might just have to now push that envelope because they did not have my permission to even sell my house. And yes, to put to rest this whole fallacy that was Marty's house. No, my house and Marty's house. I put money into that house. I have equity in that home. Every stitch of furniture, I owned it. It wasn't staged. It was my furniture. In other homes, people think you've seen me on camera forever. You know my stuff. Look it up. You guys are real good at looking stuff up. Look it up. Check your facts before you take sides. And realize Marty is just a desperate wannabe who didn't make it with me because he really thought that he had this whole thing figured out. And what does he divorce me for? My daughter's celebrating my birth. That's what he divorced me for, because it wasn't about him. He wanted a wedding on TV. He thought he'd take over the world. Yeah, he's not even taking over his own britches. That guy needs to take a seat, because there's so much stuff about him that I could say that I won't right now, because we got to save some of that. But here's another fact. Dolores did not buy that furniture. Margaret walked in there with Francis and Phyllis, the Sotheby real estate agents in Englewood, New Jersey, who are never COVID safe and play games with people. They got involved for Margaret, and now I'm going to make sure that they lose something too, because I lost my home because of that. Illegal for them to sell that on the heels of a nervous breakdown. They all think this is really funny. I had a nervous breakdown, people. That's a big deal, Yvette. It's a big deal. I was not functioning as a human being, and to be out of my home, I couldn't even figure out what clothes to bring. I thought that this was a joke. You know, I didn't realize all I needed to say was, I request to stay, and it would have been over. But I didn't have an attorney. I didn't do anything that I was supposed to do. And Marty did this to intentionally steal my money. And back to you.
Right.
And he stole not only my equity in the home, my furniture in the home, all of which was mine. The man barely had a toothbrush in the house. He didn't even have a bed that he put into this relationship. He gave nothing to this relationship. I brought it all to the table. He paid the majority of the home, but let's think about it. All that furniture, mine. All the tchotchkes, everything, mine. Sure. And equity and a deposit on the house. We're talking about over almost $500,000 Marty Caffrey stole from me. And now Margaret stole a piece of that as well. That's not cool, man. You're not a girl's girl. You know what? I'm so much of a girl's girl that I helped these bitches when no one else was. I couldn't see them suffering, even though I didn't know what they would do later. I just jumped in front of the bus for them, took care of them, each one of them, Jennifer and Margaret. Jackie now, not so much, but we'll get back to Melissa and the rest of them.
We're gonna switch it up for a second here. We have a fan. We're gonna do something different on this episode. We're gonna have
good, because I'm done talking about this.
Join us.
So over it.
Chat a little bit more about the episode.
Let's do that.
All righty.
It's too early in the day for me to be this revved up. Did you freeze on me?
Nope. Just figuring it out. So, this is how it goes with this live taping.
That's right.
Figuring it out as well. And we should be having Sarah join us in just a second. I'm just going to ask her.
So Sarah is a big fan of mine. She's approached me on social media several times. And I pretty much, I've started to open up and speak to a few more people that I've noticed over the years have been really consistent with their want to be giving me knowledge. It's hard to trust people when you're in my position when everybody's out to get me, So I'm ready for Sarah to be a part of this whole debacle here.
Hi, Sarah. How's it going? Can you hear us?
Are we going to be able to see her as well or no? Just audio.
Hey, we can't hear you. Let's see. Let me see if I can help her out with her audio.
Can you see her?
I do. Do you see?
I don't.
Okay, so can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Hi, honey.
Hi, how are you?
There you are. Hi. Oh,
okay.
Pretty.
Welcome. Thank you. So do you.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Sarah, for all that you've had to say over the years to me. I appreciate that. I don't know, how to explain what it's like to be approached by so many people, and there's so many good people like you that I can trust, I'm certain, but it's hard for me to figure out who's who, Yeah,
I can imagine. It's a shady world. And I originally, I lived in New Jersey. The whole reason I know all about the housewives and I contacted you is because I lived in New Jersey on and off for 2 years. And
I'm sorry.
I lived in their townships. And I actually knew people who knew them very well. And so this is kind of like when I saw the last season that you were on, I was so shocked how they treated you. And I've been watching over the last few years, these people knowing their character, knowing who they are, knowing people who know them, and knowing the stuff that is being said behind the scenes about them.
So tell me how that feels for you. Was it frustrating that I was not responding, or were you just waiting for the right moment and just giving me the information that you felt I needed to feel comfortable? Because I don't know how it must feel for somebody that knows so much like you do, and yet you don't have anywhere to put it, and you're watching me take the fall for all these people when I've done nothing but just try to be a friend or fit in.
Literally. And I don't know. It's really, as a viewer and as somebody who knows them, you just see it you're just like, wow, what a bunch of liars, and you can see the level of manipulation and you trying to be honest, and you can see the level of manipulation and the lies that they're literally saying against you. And that's what was so shocking to me. And Melissa Gorga, actually, the last seasons that you were on, she was the epicenter of every single problem for you. And she was causing it. And everything I've heard about her from the people that know her from when I lived in New Jersey, and I hung out with the people that they knew, told me that Melissa Gorga is the problem, period.
Tell me what else you would feel like would validate that or verify that. There was some stuff that was going on at that. I know there was stuff going on at that boutique. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I know there's things that were going on at that boutique, and people think I'm crazy for saying it, but I also know the Gorgas don't come from a real background in anything. they're faking it until it's broken. They can't even make it with it.
And it's
like
actually
they didn't
broken
make
right
it.
now.
They
They're on
didn't
fire because
really
of last
make
night's
it.
episode too, right? Sarah, you know a little bit about what's going on with the Gorgas and this whole growing with Gorga and the Michelle Pius and John Pius situation. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, yeah, I do. And I know people that know them. I know people that know more about them. And basically, like, they're known in New Jersey for scamming people since the beginning that Joe started his construction business and not paying
Before
their
the
bills.
housewives, right? Before the housewives.
Even before the
correct?
housewives. They literally had nothing. They started with like nothing and they scammed their way to the top.
Yeah, didn't they get a few people out of their way as well? I mean, because
Say that again, sorry.
they got a few people out of their way as well. Like, because
Oh,
my beliefs are the
yes.
reason they were contacting me in seasons 1 and 2 every single day is because, well, they told me point blank, I want you to help me get in front of the right person so I can turn them in for $1 million check fraud. My friend, our business partner, blah, blah, blah. They kept going on and on about all these frauds that the Judices were committing. I said, you know, I can't get in the middle of that, but I can honestly tell you I'm done after this season. So I'll put you on the show. Just be sure to thank me. They forgot to thank me. And so now it's my turn to say,
it is your turn.
Okay.
And yeah, the truth needs to come out. And like what you're saying about regarding all of the fraud, not only the Judices were involved in stuff, but the Gorgas were involved with the Judices. Joe Giudice put Joe Gorga into work, and there was a bunch of other guys because my husband also works in the construction industry, put Joe on to all the stuff that he was doing, and they started renovating with renovations and buying properties and things like that. And unfinished projects, unpaid bills, all sorts of things were just piling up constantly. They had a bad reputation. They were constantly finding a new victim, lying, not paying their bills, like I said. And it wasn't even, from what I've heard, is that Melissa Gorga and Joe Giudice are being investigated now, and they were being investigated around the time that Joe Giudice was being investigated. And Joe never wanted to go on the show because he knew his business practices were shady originally. He was against the show.
Joe Giudice.
Joe Giudice, yeah.
You are absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct, because Joe and Teresa wouldn't sign those contracts because Joe knew, and I said it all along, I'm like, is there something we should know? Like, why wouldn't you come on here? You saying, you know, Joe is like a entrepreneur, he buys businesses. I mean, I know what an entrepreneur looks like, believe it or not, even though I wasn't married properly the last time. My marriage to the father of my children was legit. Multi-millionaires and billionaires I was surrounded by. That's the upper echelon. I know those people, and I never saw the Gorgas walking amongst us or the Giudices walking amongst us. Or
they just
the
kind of appeared out of
Manzos.
nowhere. And they got all these construction loans, and they misappropriated their money. They didn't pay them back. They didn't pay the taxes on them. And you know, the truth is very simple. And when someone is lying, you know, because the truth is confused, or the lie is confusing. And the truth is very simple, or if somebody's lying, they want to hide it. And Joe never wanted to talk about it, like you're saying about him being an entrepreneur, about his businesses, what he was doing. Everything is always a secret. Even with Joe Gorga, it's a secret. Nobody knows where they get their money from, how they get it. And it's all done in business loans and construction loans. And then they don't claim taxes, and they run other businesses, like some of the things that I've talked to you about. So
they're the worst part
what they're doing.
But also
the worst part of reality TV, because they're not real, Yvette. They're just not real.
Of course.
I mean, they're all pretending to have something.
Fast forwarding to today and last night's episode. When this topic came up, I noticed that Teresa was very calm and unbothered by the whole situation. So just based off of everything that you're saying, Sarah, it makes total sense that the rumor is not a surprise to her that Joe has been scamming people. Her brother has been involved in all this shady activity. Yeah, it's pretty evident by the way she reacted when it came up.
And even when she told Michelle, well, we'll list the house, then after you apologize to my brother. What? If I were Michelle, I would have been, bitch, I don't got time for this bullshit. Michelle, I know, is like a listing agent for multi-million-dollar properties. Teresa's lucky that she even looked in her direction, as far as I'm concerned, because that house is in Tawako. It's not Montville. It's not
No,
in a high-end
it's
area.
not.
It's
I
in a
know where her
landfill.
house is, and I lived in the townships. I lived near the townships that they lived in, the two of them. She never originally lived there.
Oh, she was in Lincoln Park. I know. I've asked people to look up her formal address it was like a modular home. It was a trailer
Yeah.
that they lived in while they were building their mansion.
Which there's
Yeah,
nothing
and that's-
wrong with living in a trailer, right?
What?
And that mansion actually.
No, there's nothing wrong with
Hey,
living
there
in
is
a
nothing
trailer,
wrong
but
with living in a
Teresa
trailer.
didn't own
Okay,
it.
but you got to do what you got to do, and I get it.
But
But, you
Teresa
know,
should
just
have
be
owned
honest
that.
about it.
She
And the
should have
thing is,
said,
is
I
that
lived
mansion-
modestly. She should
Yeah.
have said those things.
She should
She
have.
made
and
people
she-
believe that she comes from all of this. And
It's
I've
wrong.
never done that. I didn't come from this.
No.
I scraped my way to the top before I met the father of my children. I was ready and set up to have children. I had enough money in the bank that I could have provided everything for them. I pulled that and I put it into the pool when I got married. Over $1 million in my 20s. I was a millionaire in my 20s.
Yeah, I believe it.
And now
Yeah,
to be
I
like
remember on one of the
desolate like
seasons when
this?
you were saying like, because Teresa was dressing her daughters in like in designer, and I remember you saying something like, I was dressing my dogs in the labels that she dresses her children
I didn't
in,
say that.
you know. And so like I know your book, you know, the truth is out there. The truth is out there, you know.
I
And
just
so
think
none
people
of
need
this
to
is
find
new
it.
to you. And the home that they're actually living in. So the reason that she knows the listing agent she knows is because of her current boyfriend hooked her up with her. And then the
Oh.
house that she was living in is actually a scam too. They were supposed to build that house as part of Joe Giudice's like construction company and sell it. They got a construction loan and they ended up living in the house.
Yeah, I do remember that to be some guy that I was kind of seeing at the time that didn't turn out so well. They set me up with like a young guy. They're setting Teresa up with real men. They gave me a 26-year-old. What the fuck am I going to do with him? Teach him?
Yeah.
But he gave me their secrets. Like he was like, yeah, they stole those doors from a house in Smoke Rise last night.
Fine.
And I'm like, what?
But speaking
Yeah, they
of
just
these
move their
men,
money around from construction project to construction project with loan to loan to loan. There's no actual like net earnings that they're living off. It's all loan money.
So what do you see as happening for the Gorgas if they indeed continue down this path of lying to everybody and faking everything till they make it? I'd like to know, like, if you
The same
see
thing that
something-
happened. Sorry, I have a delay, so I don't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
The same thing that happened to Teresa. But I think actually that from what I've heard and what I know somebody who knows Melissa very well. And she told me that Melissa is trying to divorce Joe and get away from him because she's scared of taking the fall with him. And he actually, the last year because of the pandemic, her business hasn't profited any money. It's been
Well, how
closed, the
can it?
actual
She's
business.
selling clothes that belong on teenage kids.
Yeah,
Like, women don't want to wear that.
no.
I
And it's not
tried.
even, she doesn't even own the inventory. She's basically uses third parties. She uses stock photos from the wholesalers of the clothes. She does drop shipping. If you go to her website, there's no contact information. There's no info. It's a really shady return policy. One of my friend's daughters worked at her boutique, and there was weird stuff going on in the boutique. It wasn't open half the time. And there wasn't a lot of inventory. There was just a lot of mess going on. And Joe actually, I believe, built the boutique. They got the building or something. And it was all just basically like from what I've heard, it's just a place to funnel money through.
Wow. You know,
Yeah.
I believe that because when I went in there to film, I think it was season 7 or 8 was it? Either way, I walked in and I noticed like she's got one of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, she goes like, I love this. This is what I wear. And then I put it back on the rack. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's
"Ooh,
what I heard too. Actually,
you
I heard
wear
that she
these
uses it as
clothes
her
to
closet.
film in and then you sell them to somebody?
Yeah.
Ew, $40.
She-
You can't do
Yeah.
that.
That's what one of the girls was saying that worked there, that she uses it as like her own personal wardrobe. Like one of the reasons she got it is so she could get like, I don't know if it's like tax exemption, or she could claim it, or she could claim her clothing in her store so she could have new stuff to wear all the time, you know, and clothing. And she was explaining
And
it
that's
to
not
me.
the worst idea. But
Yeah.
it's bad and it's lying to customers when you're saying, you know, we've got tons of this just in. You can't lie to people and expect
No.
us not to eventually find out.
No, and what she would do, the girl that worked there told me that it's funny that you said that about the sizing, because she would, if something wasn't available, Melissa told the girl to say that everything was on back order, or like that they could order it for you if you didn't have the size. And so like, I think she just had a bunch of like one of everything, like samples from the company, put them out there. And then if somebody wanted it, she would order it.
So when she filmed, it looked like she had a store.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't believe there's anything legitimate about any of them. I quite frankly don't believe any of them have anything to be bragging about.
No, they don't.
I don't think they're safe either. And I still don't believe Dolores is safe either. I think none of them
I actually love Dolores and Tina, and as far as I don't know her, know really anything about her, but from the show, she seems so loyal, and she just always has Teresa's back no matter what, you know. But it's like now she's in the mix. She's kind of getting in the mix. She's getting in a dangerous, she's starting to walk the line, you know, it's getting a little dangerous.
Yeah, she is. She might have gone a little too far this time, but I can't wait to see that explode in her face.
Yeah, and it's going to, what goes around comes around, honestly. And like, I watched you, I mean, you know, I feel that you're like a survivor of these really evil women. Like you came out on top, like you're okay. And I watched them bully you. I watched them. And, you know, honestly, the reason I contacted you and I started a line of communication with you was because I could see because of knowing them, knowing their character and the things that I hear about them, I could see what they were doing to you. And I could see how wrong it was. And like, you were just blindsided and blindsided and blindsided. And Melissa Gorga was the one who was all behind it.
Hit. Every direction I looked, it didn't matter where I looked, I was just hit. And they were all ganging up on me all the time. All the time.
Yeah,
and ironically, when I came back, Melissa said in the original seasons, I never saw you do anything to anybody or hurt anybody that would bring on that kind of behavior in return for the original seasons. Those were her words in the reunion on my return. So I just wonder if that wasn't just her making sure that I didn't say anything about how she got there. And I think that's exactly what it was. She was manipulating me.
Yeah,
because
I do.
She didn't see it then.
That she was manipulating you. And I think that with you, Danielle, I think that you are just too much of a powerhouse. You're too strong of a woman, and you will say the truth and you will say how you feel. And I think she was scared, like you're saying, that you would expose her. And she wanted to push you out. She didn't like your relationship with Teresa. You were down with Teresa. And again, you have become friends with her. You had Teresa's back. It was so obvious. And like, you know, I think a real friend does throw water on someone when someone tells them to, if they're doing something, you know, like whatever, you know, you can have someone's back. I mean, like what the things that you did for Teresa proves that you were her friend, and Melissa didn't like it. And I don't think Melissa wanted Teresa to tell you Melissa and Joe's secrets.
She didn't have to, because I already know them. The only thing I didn't tell Teresa is, I told Teresa this: ask me 3 times and I'll tell you on the 3rd ask what it is that they did. That was our deal. She asked me twice. She's like, come on, just tell me. And then I go,
she doesn't want to know.
One more time. You have to ask me a 3rd time and then I will. And she's like, never mind. I'm like, yeah, you probably wise for that. I said, but I did tell you as your friend that I will tell you the truth. If you ask me 3 times, that means you really want to know. So ignorance is bliss, Teresa, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's her whole MO. That's her game. She knows if she can play stupid, she can't get in trouble with anyone.
I don't think she's playing stupid too much. I think she's pretty stupid. And she's got a bunch of people around her that help her move through her day, but really, she doesn't know anything about the business at all.
No, she doesn't.
No.
She doesn't have very much business acumen. It's pretty obvious. You can see how hard she has to try to think to problem solve, you know, or to like figure things out on the show when she's trying to deal with drama or problems and stuff. And I never thought, she was like the brightest, you know, light bulb in the room, but I always thought Teresa had a good heart, you know. But
I did
like,
too.
it's like
I
now
thought that she was genuinely coming to me with an apology and empathy for what she had taken from my children and I, the paychecks that I deserved just as much, if not more, because I had to take the heavy hits and really shoulder everything for the beginning of the original seasons in the original cast, or there wouldn't have been a season 2 without me.
Ladies, I hate to, you know, start wrapping this up, but I want to thank Sarah so much for joining us. Sarah, before we do move, oh, did I lose you guys? Where are you guys?
No, I'm here.
There you are. Before we let you go, do you have any predictions about this season and what's going to turn out for the Gorgas and this whole situation with Teresa and her realtor and the Gorgas? What do you have predicted for the show coming up? Any thoughts?
And do you think that this is going to have an impact on them when they hear this? And they will hear it because they do watch. They do watch.
Well, you know, they're public figures, they're celebrities. So whatever impact happens as a result of their lies or their truths is something they're going to have to deal with, no matter who says it, you know? So yeah. I'm just, you know, an average woman. I'm just I'm a viewer, and who happens to know them, know people who know them. And I see their lives falling apart, actually. And it's going to come out because the lies can't continue. It's gotten so bad. Joe hasn't even worked on a project, from what I've heard, and since before the pandemic.
Since the fake house flip that he got called out
actually,
on.
and that's why they sold their house.
Yeah, I don't think they could afford that house. I know Melissa answered those questions like, oh no, we need to get a better school district. I don't want a big house anymore. Bullshit. Melissa's all about the grandeur.
Of course.
And ironically, you know, when you come from Bayonne, I have a hard time figuring out where she feels the entitlement to that. I mean, I worked my butt off before marrying the man that I had children with. I had my own career. None of them have. Literally. I mean, maybe Margaret did, but what did she do with it? She steals and lies and whatever. Begs, borrows, steals and lies. I don't respect any of that. You have to have a hustle, and you have to have the hustle be legal. You know? I did everything I had to do before having kids.
Amen. Amen. All right, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah.
We can have you back.
You're welcome.
Soon.
We're going to have you back
you guys and to see you guys here on Zoom.
When this all comes to a head, we're going to have you back at the end of the season.
Sounds good.
Me and my Buddha.
Hey, God bless you and your girls.
God bless you, honey. Thank you so much for doing this for me. I appreciate it. And keep your eyes open, girl, and your head up. Thank you so much.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, honey. She was sweet.
She was very sweet.
Very sweet.
All right, my love. So now that the dust is settled and
my fans are so pretty.
They're the best. They really are the best. Who would you say is in the hot seat for this week's episode? Who are you going to put in the hot seat?
Because of the show, I need to put, Frank Catania and Dolores Catania in the hot seat.
That's who I was going to pick too.
You know why?
Tell me why.
They sat there. Now, Joey and Melissa, I expect them to be stupid idiots and liars to Jackie's face. But they sat there at Evan's re-party, which I'm going to call it. And the night before, they had a lot to say about Evan having an affair, having a girlfriend. Frank Catania weighs in, you know, he's like, Goomba, I gotta say something, I'm gonna be stupid about it. But he doesn't say it to Evan's face. So you're a fucking pussy, Frank. I'm ashamed of you. You're a pussy. A real man would sit there the next night and say, listen, dude, I might have been out of line, but I said something about you last night when I was drinking that I think you do have a girlfriend. Instead, they're like, oh yeah, let's just shoot this thing around and play a little bit. They're all fucking liars. And Jackie's sitting there trying to make her husband feel better.
Crazy.
That's making me angry.
As a new fan of the show and a new viewer, I would have to say Frank is one of my favorite castmates. If there's anyone on the show, he's kind of one of the people that I'm kind
Yeah,
of.
and he's not even a castmate. He does this shit for free.
I love all the people
Yeah.
that are not on the show. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's funny that he brought up that Joe B had heard the rumor. Yet, I mean, I feel like he's not
They
being
all had a
buddy.
lot to say the night before in that game room, didn't they?
Absolutely.
And how brave are they when they're face to face with Evan? Did they even bring it up?
No.
No. And now,
They
how do you think Evan feels now that he's seen the way that they behaved? And Evan, if you didn't get it the first time around, I'm here to remind you that shit is going to continue happening behind your back. They're going to say stuff about you, and it's going to be bad because they need someone to hide all their wrongdoings behind. Okay? So take it with a grain of salt, Jackie. You got this. Just take Teresa down, tear her to shreds, girl. You got a vocabulary that will make her wish she had seen the light of day the first time around. Yeah. Nobody should ever go for your marriage. Wish I would have learned that lesson, even though I was with the wrong guy. I still should have not let anybody do that, including yourself, Jackie. But here's the thing. I am letting that go because you need me right now to be saying all these things that I'm saying to remind you that you and Evan are a unit. You have a family, and no matter what he's done or not done, you should never give up the father of your children. Stand by your man, honey, period. None of their fucking business what he does. And Evan, just go back to the financial district. You're a smart man. And I really truly believe neither one of you need this show. And I'm not saying that for any other reason, but the reason is you're being attacked and being singled out, and you're going to continue being talked about.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Period.
All right, my friends. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show.
That is. So we're done here at the day after show with Danielle and Yvette. And we hope all of you have enjoyed this, and you will come back often to view all of our episodes. Please go and remain on my YouTube channel, The Original Danielle Staub, for live viewings of Danielle's viewing party. You want to tune in to Instagram Live, 9 p.m. Wednesday nights. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday nights.
Yeah, we got to specify the Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, exactly. And I look forward to watching the whole season with all of you. Yes, I'm here for it. Not because I'm loving the season, but because I need to unpack it all and make it make sense for all of you, according to an original, which is me, been there since the beginning. And I know how this stuff feels. I do. Yvette, I really do. I have a hard time being mad at Jackie right now just because, and I know she was a real twat to me, but she's going through a rough time right now. And I could choose a better vocabulary word.
She looks like she's strong. I think she's going to pull through.
Oh, she's super strong. And I really think she has great family values. And I hope that she starts to adhere to them and see them as more important than this bullshit that she's doing on the show. Because she really doesn't need to be here doing this. She could have a fabulous life without these girls. And they're not her friends.
They're not.
They're not her friends.
They're not.
They're not.
Thank you so much for doing this. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
We will. Thank you, guys.